Hey, welcome back to the State of Love and Trust. It's episode 290, and this week we are going back in time with a brand new series called Soundtracking the Year. And it's as simple as it sounds. Go back to a year and think about the music, the records that really spoke to you. Hits you right here. Well, we're going to start things off with what's a buzz on the internet, because you know Paul and I are very hip. 2016 is the year, and it's next on the State of Love and Trust.
Hey, I'm Mike McCready from Pearl Jam.
Hey kids, this is Mark Arm from Mudhoney.
I'm Kevin Martin from Candlebox.
Hi, I'm Dave Cruzen.
I'm Tim Montana.
Hey, I'm James Joseph from James and the Cold Gun.
I am Matt Vaughn from Easy Street Records.
This is Pete Droge.
And this is the State of Love and Trust.
The State of Love and Trust.
The State of Love and Trust.
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Feed the algorithm.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the State of Love and Trust podcast. I'm one of your two hosts, Jason Kerepesi, and alongside me, as always, is
Paul Ghiglieri.
Woo! Paul, episode 2 of 2026. I am excited. Are you excited, sir?
I am thrilled. In fact, this seems like the perfect occasion to celebrate being a new me.
Oh, are you gonna get like a new haircut or something?
No, far more important than that, Jason.
Oh, you're gonna upgrade your belt game.
Nope, I'm gonna go even better than that.
Whoa! Where'd your headphones go?
I just had to prove to the listener and the viewer that I have ears.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? No one has seen your ears in 6 years.
Exactly.
You could have had just like holes, like pencil holes in the side of your head. No one would know the difference.
They'd never want to know the difference.
Well,
I do have ears, and we are listening to the good listeners and the good viewers, and we're really excited about the direction of this podcast in 2026. And what better way to celebrate this podcast than by looking back 10 years ago? Am I right?
Aha!
Sometimes looking back helps us look forward.
Who said that?
We did.
I wanted you to say, I did just now.
Exactly.
Before we get into it, please, if you're watching here on YouTube, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications. And if listening only,
rate, review, subscribe on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Feed that algorithm. Feed it because we need it. But more importantly, feed it because it's time to be a new you with the new me. Feed that algorithm.
And as we said last week, or actually Matt Finland said last week, feed the hope machine. However you do that. Right?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
We should add that. We're going to add that into the tagline repertoire. How about that?
We might have to give Finland some royalties, some points on the back end of that one.
He's deserving.
It's true. So this episode, if you couldn't tell by the banner up above or the title of the thing, it's called Soundtracking the Year. What does that mean, Paul? I'm glad you asked. It means that we are going to find a year in time, backwards, obviously, because we can't look into the future, and say what albums came out that year that spoke to us, that were really the soundtrack to our year. I mean, that's kind of the story, right? And I mean, it's a very simple idea. There are really no rules here. Except for it can't be a greatest hits album and it can't be like a remastered or deluxe reissue of something that came out years before. That's cheating.
Right.
You know?
That's cheating. That is a violation of protocol.
Exactly. So,
which, in 2036, that'll be easy to do because we'll look back at 2026 and we'll just be able to say, well, violation of rule and protocol was the way of the land.
It was precedent, Paul. Precedent. Now, it could be any year. It could be any year. We might do 1975 at some point. Who knows? And you'll have to be saying, well, you weren't born yet, Jason. And I will say to you, you're right. But I can still look to that year and say what came out that year that speaks to me, that would have been my soundtrack had I been alive. I can say that record. Wow, they hit me. They when I think about music that moves me, those records were it. And listen, if they happen to speak to the zeitgeist at the time, regardless of whether I was alive or not, then obviously that means they were even more important to more people's soundtracks for the year. So that's the idea. Before we get into it, I do want to point out one thing, Paul. One of our patrons, Rosemary Kearney from Ireland, she, a couple weeks ago, told us a story in the Discord. Discord is where we have all of our patrons. We chat away. It's great fun. We had a bit of a lull during the holidays because we had to take a little break, reset the old batteries. And she was saying how she was going through some of the back catalog, listening to random episodes, which is cool. I like hearing fresh takes on stuff we did like 3 or 4 years ago. And she said that, let me read it for you. She goes, so I was so engrossed in listening to a back episode of the pod that I forgot to collect my son from his art class this evening.
Oh, gosh.
That's a 5-star review. I said,
Yeah.
That's incredible. What episode is it? And she said it was the top 5 guitar solos. So there you go.
Wow.
How about that?
I'm trying to go back to that episode. Was that just in general? That was Mike's or Stone's?
I think it was just in general.
In general. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Fascinating. Who knew that we were capable of inspiring neglectful parenting? I had no idea we had that in our bag, man.
She goes, I was walking the dog and stopped to stare at the stars for the live track of the week, Quick Escape in London. Highly recommend listening to that song while staring at the stars, especially as Jupiter is really visible at the moment. Just don't forget to pick up your kid.
Thank you, Rosemary. Sage advice.
I told her that I was going to tell the world, and she didn't have a vote in the matter. So there you go. Be responsible with your kid collection is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that is a 5-star review. She was so engrossed in our conversation about Quick Escape. Isn't that fun?
It's delightful.
All right, let's get into it. I'm excited about this. I think the idea originally was like pick 5, and then we were both like, we have a lot more. So we'll just keep talking until we kind of hit a time. And I will say that we gave our patrons homework, and they have given us their 5 records from 2016 that are their soundtracks. And so I'll rattle those off at the end. We can discuss a little bit at the end. But by the way, we're picking 2016 because evidently that's a thing. You know, Paul, you're big on social media. You know how trends go.
I'm huge.
You knew that 2016 was a thing going on the TikToks and whatnot and Instagram.
Yeah. Rumor has it I started that thing.
You did.
I wrote it with my pen of power and just sent it out.
You put it on a carrier pigeon, as was the style at the time. So anyways, that's why 2016 was chosen, because it felt funny to me to try and ride the coattail of a meme that's probably dead by now. Anyways, dad jokes, here we are. Let's go to 2016. I will say at the outset, Paul, that at first I was like 2016, stroking my beard. What came out in 2016? I started having a couple of records.
Good stuff. And
then I was looking at like, okay, top records of the year. What's on that list? And I'm like, okay, okay, that one. Not that one. And then I realized you can look up like in your iTunes library by year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly how I did it.
How you get there is a little convoluted, at least in my experience. But then I go, oh, that's right. And I had like 30 records from the year that I had gotten. I go, oh, that one. So like I wrote notes for like a bunch of them. So like I said, we're about 9 minutes in. We're just going to go until it feels like we've hit a wall. But you know what, Paul? It's okay. I've got literally my last 2 winter solstices of the year ready to go.
Oh man,
I
was actually curious if I was going to see another one of those on the show from you, and I now have my answer. We're exhausting the inventory. Episode 2, 2026. All right, who's going first?
I don't know. You pick.
Well, since you're drinking, I'll speak.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to Britain, specifically London. There's a band called Bear's Den that I just think is phenomenal. Yeah, they are an alternative country and indie folk band, and they do some fantastic stuff. Just great music. Formed in 2009 by Kevin Jones and Andrew Davey, and they've just done some remarkable stuff over the years. But they dropped an album that doesn't sound like anything else in the catalog. It's an album called Red Earth and Pouring Rain, and this I thought was a quintessential album for me in 2016 because it felt like a quiet companion during a year of transition. And for those of you who know, 2016 was a year of transition, obviously,
yes.
at least in America. It's got like a stripped folk, an introspective songwriting feel to it. It's very nostalgic, but there's also like a lot of uncertainty in it. One of my favorite songs is Old Wives' Lifts on the record. And it details this experience of the lead singer venturing back to a place where he felt this deep connection in his childhood to his grandfather. And his grandfather has Alzheimer's, and he kind of loses touch with his grandson and is unable to recognize him. And that traumatic experience and the experience of going to the Old Wives' Lifts, which is the rock formations there off the coast that are called Old Wives' Lifts. And they kind of take on this mystical persona in the song, and it becomes a metaphor for this internal struggle that's going on. And the introspection and the poetry and just the effort that went into the songwriting and the craft is not something you typically see, and the subject matter is not something you always see. So I thought it was a wonderful way to just delve into something with depth. The music itself just has this the album cover's glorious. I mean, it has this like 80s, like brooding, like, the girl driving a car at night feel to it. And, it's just, it's the kind of record that shows a lot of restraint in places. It didn't demand a lot of attention. Probably most people listening to this episode don't even know this band or likely haven't heard this record. But when you listen to this record, it's going to earn your attention slowly the way real life does. And I think that's what makes it important. In addition to Old Wives' Lifts, other standouts I would say is the title track, Red Earth and Pouring Rain. Funny story, and I'll keep this one brief. My little guy was born in 2019, and I'd had this record for a few years, and he would be like young. But anywhere ages 3 months all the way to like 18 months. And he would be throwing a fit in the car crying. I would literally put Red Earth and Pouring Rain on, the title track. And the second the guitar drops after the drum intro, he immediately stops crying. It was like an elixir. It was uncanny how we must have done this like 50 times that year. It's just, he's crying out of nowhere. It doesn't matter what it is. And you put that song on, and he immediately stops. And I've never seen a song have an effect on a baby or on a young child like that in my life. And so to this day, my wife and I kind of marvel on that. But that song is beautiful. Napoleon is another great song. Greenwood's Bethlehem is another great one. It's just a lot of songs about reflection and regret, telling stories about, mischances, emotional distance. Talked about Old Wives. There's not a lot of melodrama in it either, though. There's a lot of warmth. There's a lot of hope. It just feels like there's an emotional arc to the record rather than just a single mood all the way through. So the songwriting feels just real. It's authentic. It's lived in. So highly recommend this record. It's like, it's like just to harken back to that song. It's almost like it's like reading an old letter, basically, that you forgot you kept. If you've ever had that experience, that's the experience of listening to this record. So highly recommend it.
That's a great description and a great story. And I hope that the band finds out about this. Maybe I'll clip it out and make it a clip for the socials, and that the band finds out, because it's a hell of a story.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to the band one day.
Bears Den, come on the show. Let's talk. I love that. And again, I've only ever heard the band because you've mentioned them a handful of times across these 6 years that we've had the show. Yeah. And I would guess that most people haven't heard the band, which is why, or I should say, one reason why I love this series, because it's going to open people's minds up a little bit. Like, oh, Jason or Paul mentioned this band. I hadn't given that record a lot of thought, or I don't even know who that is. Let me go check them out. Give them a little taste. Maybe you find something. We have a lot of old ears in our Patreon membership. They're like, 2016, new music. And I go, guys, there is great music that's new, but it gets buried by a lot of crap. You got to find it. So, not that all popular music is crap. Before I get letters. Who writes letters? Paul does. Puts them in carrier pigeons. Anyways, my first choice. There you go. My first choice, Paul, is going to be Kings of Leon, Walls.
Nice.
Yeah. I often refer to Kings of Leon as vibes rock, There's a lot of mid-tempo kind of alt grooves. There's synth swells. There's a lot of backing vocal ahs and sing-along choruses. They were just put at Ohana last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that stuff, but kind of only for a limited amount of time. It's kind of like Dave Matthews in a sense for me, where it's like I really appreciate what they do, but there's a homogeneity to a certain point where I'm like, all right, 30 minutes is enough. There is something, though, about Walls that sort of pushes past that for me. It's got a little like hitch in its giddy up that I really like. It gets my toes tapping, gets my body moving. And
that song "Find Me" on that record to me is it's one of the top two in the catalog. I love that song.
It's so good, and I think most people out there would agree. Caleb Followill's voice is infectious. I think all the songs on this record, they sound unique, yet they fit together, which is a great quality for a record. I don't like when, speaking of homogeneity, I don't like when records sound too homogenous. It's not a deal killer for me, deal breaker, but I like when there's a little bit of difference. And we talked about Gigaton being blown away by the lead single and being, okay, there's different things happening here. That's cool. This is another band that found extra life with me because of my then girlfriend, now wife. She loves these guys. So while I knew the hits, from the previous records, I got like submerged in their catalog, like on the reg when we were dating in 2016. So when the record came out in October, this was on a lot. Let's just put it that way. And I would say it holds up incredibly well. And it's probably my favorite of theirs. So,
okay.
Yeah, I really do like this record. I also say as a addendum, I say bless the Followill brothers, because I will never forget the moment that they were meant to play Ohana in 2021 and they couldn't. And it was because their mother had just died. They're all brothers. And Ed Vedder was the one that told us the news. I think I may have heard it, but he told us kind of the story more and how he spoke to them. And listen, if Eddie thinks you're good people, I'm going to give you the flowers you deserve. So obviously they're good dudes and they make some great music. And this is my favorite of theirs, Walls in 2016.
Outstanding choice.
Where are you going to go next?
Well, Kings of Leon had been around for a minute when that album came out. The album I'm choosing is from a band who debuted in 2016, and that album is A.B. from Kaleo.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man, that record,
Great
I tell
record.
you. No, it's fantastic. I mean, it's got that like raw, timeless sound to it. I mean, it literally, you listen to this record and you're thinking, did this come from the 70s? Parts of it feel like from the 60s, the 80s. I mean, it could have come from almost any decade. It's just a bluesy, gritty rock sound. Just some thunderous drums. I mean, his vocals are just like soul bearing. They really, really are. I just think it's much like Red Earth and Pouring Rain. It's just a perfect record to put on for like a long drive at night. I would say that there's, again, and you'll notice a theme with these albums I'm picking, there's an authentic, honest feel to this record that really counters kind of the high fructose, poppy stuff that might, as Eddie put it, might have been coming out at the time. Just to highlight a couple of songs, the song everybody knows, "Way Down We Go." I mean, that's the slow burn centerpiece there. I think it's a masterpiece. It's very minimal in its composition, but at the same time, it's like incredibly heavy and muscular. You just can't shake that song. And the vibrato in his voice when he sings it is, again, I mean, it's like unlike anything I'd heard from.
It's like waves crashing against the shore, man.
Great analogy, fantastic one. Now it doesn't open with that song; it opens with "No Good," which just brings that like swagger and grit, and it's like, hey, these guys they're from Iceland. That's what these guys are from. They are from Iceland, but you wouldn't have known that. For all you knew, they were shaking it down in Tennessee, somewhere in Nashville, when you listened to them play. Just very, very gritty. But there's a softer side to them as musicians. And they showcase that range as well. There's a great song, "All the Pretty Girls," on there. Like I said, it really softens the edges, kind of shows their ability to showcase vulnerability in a way, again, that's authentic and honest and kind of presents longing in a different light. And so I think that all these tracks really just show tremendous range, and it just really made that album feel very human and very primal at a time where not everything felt that way. So this record and Red Earth and Pouring Rain, just back to back, a lot of similarities, a lot of continuity, but then very distinctly different. And I think they complement each other well. So Kaleo is my number 2.
I can't believe Kaleo's record came out 10 years ago.
I know, it's wild how they feel so
I feel
fresh.
I feel like we were just talking about you and your wife going to see them on that tour, and I was like, oh yeah, this is
The Wiltern, I think I saw them at.
Is that where it was?
I think it was. Yeah.
Really cool record. I've got so many to choose from. There's no order to mine, by the way. I assume there's no order. Yeah. So I'm just going to pick one at random here, and I'm going to go with Alter Bridge, The Last Hero.
Oh, interesting.
I have been a fan of Alter Bridge since the beginning. I want to say 2004 or so. They have had a brand of like melodic, just heavy metal, hard rock since the beginning. And I love Miles Kennedy as a singer. I mean, Miles, as you may or may not know, he was on Slash's Apocalyptic Love, which featured just a new singer like on every single song. And then every record since then Slash has done, Miles is the singer, because he was like, oh shit, Miles is super good. And by the way, Miles was the guy in the crowd at the very end of the movie Rockstar that makes that whole thing with Mark Wahlberg coming out of the crowd to sing for that band, The Full Circle. And he's an actual singer. He's a real person, and he sings for Alter Bridge. So anyways, if you didn't know that, that's what that was. So when I heard the lead single from this record, The Last Hero, I was hooked. And like I said, I'd already been a fan. But as you mentioned with your first record, we were barreling toward the 2016 election, and I was feeling this song, Show Me a Leader, very deeply. Here are some of the lyrics from that song. Well, they're selling another Messiah here tonight, but we're all way too numb and divided to buy it. Show me a leader that won't compromise. Show me a leader so hope never dies. Now, we did, unfortunately, buy it. This was written before that in a hopeful manner, but it hit me at the time. And I was like, yes, I'm down with this. This is what I'm feeling. The very next track, called The Writings on the Wall, has these lines. Don't tell us this is normal. Don't tell us there's no change. So selfish and immoral, you're to blame because you're the great disruptor, so crass and out of line. Now tell me who will suffer for all your crimes. We're running out of time. Obviously, in a 2016...
Salient sounds.
Yeah. In a 2016 Prism, it feels like Miles and the gang are really kind of honing in on one person here. I don't know. But sometimes records become timeless without even meaning to, even if maybe they are speaking about the same person in different times. I was feeling this way because I was very much thinking about people like Bernie Sanders at the time and how the Democratic Party basically screwed him. And then it became I've got to choose the lesser of the two evils. I got to hold my nose. I got to, not have a purity test. And so obviously it didn't work out, but I have talked about how much I love it when I find records and songs that make me feel the way so many of my favorite Pearl Jam songs do. And sometimes records come along and they just scratch that itch. And in 2016, Alter Bridge's The Last Hero did that for me.
Interesting. No, yeah. That one wasn't on my radar as something to consider for this exercise, but it's definitely something that I think it should.
Mark Tremonti, by the way, what a guitar player! Holy shit!
Wow. Yeah, no, that is true.
Yeah.
Good choice. I'm going back across the pond. I'm going with
You've had no bands from America.
Yeah, I'll get there. Boxer Rebellion. Now this is a band that I feel like they almost reinvent themselves every time they release an album. This particular album that they came out with in 2016 is called Ocean by Ocean. Is the name of it. Now, this band is unique because they consist of a Tennessee native, Nathan Nicholson, and a group of fine English chaps, Andrew Smith, Adam Harrison, and Pierce Hewitt. And they were formed in London, much like Bear's Den. They were formed in 2001, though. This record is very reminiscent of the sound that you'll hear on Red Earth and Pouring Rain. As a matter of fact, if you just want to have like two records that you drive around town with at night, these are the two.
I feel like you're an A&R guy just trying to sell your bands.
I think with this particular record, it's important because the artwork complements the sound on so many levels. Ocean by Ocean, it just, much like Red Earth and Pouring Rain, it just balances atmosphere and urgency just beautifully. There are these massive, like, soaring melodies. His voice, obviously, he's registering at more of a falsetto pitch. I think, than what you'll hear with more of a baritone in Red Earth and Pouring Rain. But I think with this particular record, those soaring melodies, it's emotionally charged lyrics, very different kind of songwriting than what we saw from Bear's Den. There's more of a cinematic quality to the way that the Boxer Rebellion write songs on this particular record, at least. But it still feels like deeply personal, and I think that's the connection there between the three records that I've suggested so far. It's the kind of record that just makes that makes like really big feelings feel endurable, like survivable, like you can get through this kind of stuff. And so again, just to think of a couple of tracks that stand out to me, Big Ideas, love this song. I mean, again, that sense of urgency, that tone, the yearning, Pulling the Earth from the Sky is another beautiful song. Weapon is gorgeous. I mean, you want to talk about a song that just like grabs you by the throat and just pulls you in to a vibe and to a scene. This is a song that does that. So these songs, again, that cinematic quality, the album feels like motion the whole way through. There's a restlessness to it. It feels like it's searching. It's very, like I said, deeply emotional. And I think when you go for a drive with a lot on your mind, that's exactly in the headspace you're in. So this is just a hallmark album for 2016. It's easily one of my like top, 50 to 100 albums of all time, period. I just adore this record. So right up there with Red Earth and Pouring Rain. Boxer Rebellion, Ocean by Ocean.
All right. Another one for me to look up. I don't know what that is, but now I'm going to check it out.
Oh, it's fantastic, man.
Very cool. Okay.
Look up Weapon or Big Ideas. Those are the ones you want. All
right. I feel like I'd be remiss not to mention an obvious one. So I'm going to say Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
How could you not?
How could I not? I am a big Metallica fan, as many of you out there know. They have been a core band for me for decades. Even though I would say my pivotal and formative years with them were during probably their most radio friendly and some would argue least interesting years. But at the time, in the mid to late 90s, I'm going to high school, driving for the first time. Me and my buddy just popping a Metallica CD, usually one of the first 4 or 5. I formed a bond with the back catalog that I had not felt since those first couple Pearl Jam records. And by 2016, I'd seen them several times. And I'd been waiting 8 years since Death Magnetic had come out in 2008. And so while Hardwired is not a flawless album by any means, there's enough high-level classic Metallica riffage kind of throughout that it filled the Metallica-sized hole in my musical heart. Again, waiting 8 years at this point. After the opening 2 tracks, which is Hardwired and Atlas Rise, it kind of has a bit of an up and down, but it never lulls. And I will also say the production is also way better than Death Magnetic. And I would say that hearing James Hetfield sing about the stuff like the allure of fame and how technology will be the end of us, it was prophetic and alarming at the same time. So I have a couple of lyrics I want to point out here.
Yeah.
The song Moth in the Flame. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening, man.
Okay. So the song Moth in the Flame was a single that actually performed at the Grammys that year with Lady Gaga. And if you recall that, I think it was the 2017 Grammys. So here's some of the lines from Moth in the Flame. Decadence, death of the innocents, the pathway starts the spiral, infamy, all for publicity, destruction going viral. All I can think about now after a decade more of social media is how everyone thinks their currency, their capital is their social media presence. Chasing a career of sorts through likes and reposts, it is exhausting even for this organization to keep up, to keep its name, to keep its ideas out there, because you have to if you want any traction. And it's not the most fun part of the job. But moreover, Paul, the last track on Hardwired is called Spit Out the Bone. It is, and this is going to sound grand, it is one of the best metal songs of this century.
Whoa. That's a bold statement.
Yes, it is, Cotton. And I would say, for me, it is the best Metallica song since the Black Album. And I know that there are fantastic songs on Load and Reload. Maybe not Saint Anger as much. Death Magnetic has some really cool songs as well. I enjoy all of them, but there is something special about Spit Out the Bone. Here are some lines from it. Plug into me, I guarantee devotion. Plug into me and dedicate. Plug into me and I'll save you from emotion. Plug into me and terminate. Accelerate utopian solution. Finally cure the earth of man. Exterminate, speeding up the evolution. Set on course a master plan. Reinvent the earth inhabitant. Oh my God.
Okay.
When you talk about how we are so ingrained, Paul, with the phone, and we're stuck in, like, evolutionarily, we're going to have like dents in our fingers from constantly holding the phone, and our necks are going to start, like, this is how we have slowly become so morphed into this technology. And to hear that song 10 years ago, James already sees it happening.
Yeah.
It freaks me out. So like, that song does a lot of heavy lifting for me. There are some other great tracks on the record. So it's not the usual high bar that Metallica has set for itself, but it's still superior to so much of what came out that year that it has to be on my list for me, for my soundtrack of 2016.
Yeah, solid choice, man.
Yeah.
Solid choice from an epic Hall of Fame band.
Absolutely.
I will come stateside now. Just
All
for
right,
you.
finally.
But I'm not going where you think I'm going. I'm not going where you think I'm going. I'm going where I think common sense needs to go, and that's Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I am going to Minneapolis, Minnesota, because that's where songwriters David Huckfelt and Benson Ramsey are from. And with Benson's brother Alex, they formed the band The Pines. It's been a while since The Pines have made a record, actually. But they've got a handful. They still create music. I just think they're kind of like off doing some different projects right now. We'll see if they come back around to make a record together again. But in 2016, they released an album called Above the Prairie, and this song it's gorgeous. This record, pardon me, is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, we've been talking a lot about movement in motion with these records that I've been sharing with you. This is about stopping and getting out of the car and grounding for a minute. So it is a grounding album. It really is. It's very rooted. There's a patience to it, but at the same time, you get that expansive pastoral prairie feel to it, and it's atmospheric and melodic and moody. And to combine those things is no small feat, quite frankly. There's a lot of harmony to it. There's a lot of Americana texture to it as well. It, like I said, it evokes these wide open pasture, that the wide open pastoral feel, and it evokes history. There's a sense of just history, which is something that we need to pay attention to more of these days. Yeah. So this record, it just reminded me of just, the power of stillness, the power of authentic tradition. It does a beautiful job of that. A lot of standout tracks on this one. I don't want to spend too much time going through everything. But it's just the kind of thing, like I said, where they allow these songs to really breathe instead of just like pushing towards hooks.
Give me the first one everyone should listen to.
Oh God, the first one off this record. Let me pull up the track list.
That you would say this is the first track you should listen to off this record.
So I would say if I'm on this record right now, I'm going to say Aerial Ocean is great.
Aerial Ocean.
Yeah, and the first two songs, Aerial Ocean and There in Spirit, I think really they achieve that grounding feel to you. And then Lost Nation just takes you somewhere else. It's an instrumental, just takes you somewhere else.
Excellent.
And then, after that, gorgeous Time Dreams, All the While, Above the Prairie. I mean, the kinds of songs that just showcase that the diversity of harmony, the patience I was talking about. Again, letting songs breathe, just grounding you in place. And I just think it reinforces the record's strength, which is very different than a lot of records these days. This is a record about like quiet confidence and just reverence for roots, and we've lost touch with that. Quite frankly,
we could use a reminder of that, Paul.
We could use a reminder of that. So, 2016, this is just a gorgeous album to help you do
that. I feel like there's been a lot of themes of sort of battling against what was happening at the time, trying to center oneself, trying to feel and understand something.
I think the records we're picking, I mean, they're explaining something about that year. Like they're giving a shape. You know what I'm saying? They're giving shape to those feelings of uncertainty that we were rife with, the need for growth, transformation. So I you hear a lot of that resonating here.
I'm going to go with my next choice. It's a little off the beaten path, and I don't think most people would pick or would guess that I'd pick this record. But I'm going to go with the third record from Run the Jewels, RTJ3.
Cool.
There is something about Killer Mike's flow balanced against that of LP that I have loved, and I can't personally connect with all of it. And usually hip hop talks about culture that just isn't mine, so it's hard to relate to. However, Killer Mike is so socially and politically conscious that their music feels a bit more open to other perspectives and life experiences. It's more inviting. Mike says on one of the tracks here, born black, that's dead on arrival. My job is to fight for survival in spite of all these all lives matter ass white folk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I hear you, Mike. I hear you. Not to mention the album is just as they always are. And the first two records are fantastic too. There's an evolution between 1, 2, and 3. And they'll even say that the third record was kind of like, this is who we are now. We were figuring ourselves out. And now this is, we are the jewel. It's not out there. It's, we are that thing. And there's so many great beats on the record, so many great grooves and so unique to them, which I really appreciate because I often find it hard to differentiate between certain artists when it comes to hip hop. I remember seeing, or I should say, I remember listening to this record a lot over the holiday period because it came out on Christmas Eve. And I was thinking to myself, damn, this is so good. I got to go back and listen to that back catalog. And you may be asking, like, well, how did I learn about Run the Jewels? And I will tell you, it's because, like I said, Mike is so politically and socially conscious that that year, he would do chats with Bernie Sanders, like all the time. Mm-hmm. And he would discuss policy and he would talk about how can we, from different, they're like, 30, 40 years apart. One's an old Jewish guy from Brooklyn living in Vermont. One's from Atlanta, completely different American perspectives, but they're trying to have conversations about coming together and finding solutions for everybody. And that to me is America. Or at least it should be. And I think this album was a hand reaching out to listen to someone else's perspective. And it just so happens there's some really sick grooves on it at the same time. So Run the Jewels RTJ3 is a great record from 2016.
Solid choice.
Where are you going next?
I'm restless, so I'm going back over the pond.
Frequent flyer models, Jesus Christ.
Those of you watching and listening, you may have forgotten that 2016 was the last official Radiohead release we've received.
That is true, sir.
And I don't know if we're going to get another one, but A Moon-Shaped Pool was the name of that record. Yep. And this record is grief rendered beautifiously. I mean, they and if that is the swan song for the band,
I think they're coming back.
Group,
I think so too.
I think so too. And they've been continuing to collaborate over the years. But I mean, this record, it's got lush strings, it's got fractured rhythms, emotional vulnerability, and it all comes together in a way that is just distinctly Radiohead. It's not my favorite record in their catalog, you know what I mean? But it's also not just a throwaway album either. No. I think it creates an atmosphere that, I'm still thinking about it 10 years later. So it's an atmospheric record that I think lingers a lot long after it's gone. As far as actual songs from a record like that, Daydreaming, it just, again, like this is grief in slow motion. I said it's grief rendered beautifully, and this is a perfect example of that. True Love Waits, I think it's devastating on so many levels. This is a sad record. You know what I mean? It really tugs at you. Burn the Witch is probably the most lively song on the record. I like that one. But it's done in a way that adds a lot of tension, but there's a feeling of paranoia about it, which I think, again, is very distinctly Radiohead. I don't know. There's just a perfect mix of, there's a lot of good ones. There's just like there's a perfect mixture of like beauty and unease. And I think that tension is
that not Radiohead though?
It is. Yeah. There's a fragility, but a deliberateness to everything that you hear on this record. So I just think that it's something that it extends far beyond casual listening, and given the themes and the moods and the feelings, again, everything I've been giving you from 2016 is a feeling. and it's
Yeah.
the wide spectrum of feeling. And I think that was a year of just trying to process feeling, and these albums help you do that.
Yeah, this is Radiohead for me is I gotta be in the right mood for it. But when I am in the right mood for it, generally it's gonna do its job. And probably my favorite record from them is probably In Rainbows. But this one,
it's one of my favorites.
This one is a super interesting record. You mentioned Burn the Witch. I actually had it on in the car just I think 2 days ago, thinking to myself, man, this is a contender. This is a contender.
Yeah.
It's down the list, but I have it, but you've already said it, so I'm not going to even say it now because it's a great choice. I'm going to take another bit of a detour because I saw this record. I'm like, I got to say this one. I got to say this. I'm going to go with Bruno Mars, 24 Karat Magic.
Fantastic choice.
Yeah. Another record that I'm guessing most of you out there would not think that I have on my list, but I'll tell you what. Bruno Mars can write a funky R&B.
He's an electric, charismatic performer. So
absolutely. Listen, 2016. I mentioned before. 2016 is the year I met my wife. We would go out because no kids, so we could go out. We would do things. And I remember you couldn't avoid Bruno Mars's songs at the time, especially the new ones that were coming out off this record. We'd have them on in the car at our apartment, and it was like a reprieve from like all of the Metallica and Pearl Jam and Foo Fighters and Tool and all the shit that I would normally listen to in my own time. But man, these songs are earworms. So I figured, let me get tickets to see Bruno at the Forum in the November of that year. And goddamn it, Paul. One of the most fun concerts I've ever been to. I mean, you said it.
This guy I've never seen him live. I wanted to.
He's a showman. So after the show, I visited 24 Karat Magic in my own terms, in my car, give the old car test. And yes, it slaps. It's very good. I would say, listen to Perm and try not to make a stank face. Like, ooh. Ooh, like James Brown is like, yes, sir, for that. I listen to heavy, dark music a lot because it helps me feel seen and heard when I'm feeling, down and angry. 24 Karat Magic, you cannot feel bad listening to it, and that's a great record. So kudos to you, Mr. Bruno Mars. Oh yeah,
solid choice. Love it, man. Love it. I'll come back to this continent, but not necessarily stateside. Although this record was a massive hit stateside, I'm going with The Weeknd's Starboy album.
Oh wow, yeah.
So this is a third record from a Canadian artist, obviously global hit maker, The Weeknd. Earlier stuff didn't necessarily connect with me for whatever reason. Like, I recognize the talent, but it didn't land with me the same way. And then I heard Starboy, and I was like, man, this is really cool. So, the record, it just it captured a sound and a transformation. And I mean, especially that song with the collaboration with Daft Punk was just so outstanding. But I mean, his ability on this record to blend pop, R&B, electronic influences into something that just felt sleek, but it also felt very emotionally detached and distant. And then the videos for all the songs echoed those themes.
Oh yeah.
They really, really did. And so mirroring the disconnect that comes with fame and identity, and how those two things sometimes, if merged together, can swallow you whole. And it's like these two magnets that are wanting to come together, and it's just the tension of trying to keep them apart, Yeah. I just thought it was a bold record. I thought it was very modern for the time. I think it still holds up, and you can't ignore it. You know what I mean? As far as songs are concerned, I mean, I mentioned obviously the title track. There's just like an artist reinventing himself on so many levels in this record, and in the song, I should say. And there's like an iciness to it too, which I think I appreciated as well. It kind of has that Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA feel to it, where you think it's this, but your impression of the song is not accurate. You know what I'm saying? So Starboy is not about his appreciation and love of this. I mean, if you really you start digging into it and you look at the video that he filmed for it, it really is, it's about the cost that comes with it. You know what I mean? So leaning into excess, leaning into numbness and the price and the humanity and the loss of it that comes with that, I thought was important. And then there's just, I Feel It Coming, which is just a classic, Michael Jackson inspired pop rock song or R&B song, I should say. That softens the edges a little bit for a record like this. So there's intimacy behind all that bravado,
There has to be.
Anyway,
You got to balance it out.
there's got to be, there's got to be. Anyway, so visibility, isolation, you see it visually in the videos, you feel it in the songwriting. I just think it's a perfect tension. So,
was he the Super Bowl halftime guy that year, 2017?
Oh gosh,
was it following this album?
I don't remember if it was that year, but it was right around then that he.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bother looking it up because it takes effort, and I'm feeling good. I want to keep going with these records. We're at 47 minutes here. Maybe do a couple more.
Yeah, I got one more in the pipe.
Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll follow yours. So I'll do two more. You do one more. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
My next one is going to be Thrice. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Longtime listeners and viewers of this show will probably know that I am a big Thrice fan. And if you're not aware of Thrice, here's the Cliff Notes. They are from Orange County, I believe Irvine specifically. Their first two records came out in 2001, 2002, and they were kind of like a punk metal hybrid, very fast, very aggressive, a lot of gallop picking, a lot of screaming, lots of fun. And the band kind of evolved into a more polished and radio friendlier sound in 2003 with The Artist in the Ambulance, probably their most popular record. And they sort of kept that vein for like a record or so. And they started slowly evolving into like a more artful, thoughtful, alternative hard rock thing, even adding some electronic elements here and there. Even actually the last two records were very electronic and very spacey and synthy and very cool. And moving away from the fast metally punk thing that they began with. So come 2016, they dropped this gem of a record, To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere. And you got songs like Hurricane, Black Honey, Blood on the Sand, The Window. So many fantastic songs. They're huge sounding. They're dynamic, like really dynamic, which, I love. And unlike anything they'd put out to that point, but it still felt
they
like
always
that.
had that emo thing going on, right?
That was their thing. That was what they kind of started with. It was really aggressive, but it had like Dustin's voice was kind of emo-y, but that Dustin Kenru's voice kind of started morphing, started evolving. It changed a bit over the years, but it still makes you feel like you're believing everything he's singing. And it's gotten seasoned with experience. There's a gravitas to like his raspy drawl that he has now. And so when he sings lines like these, I feel like I have an ally in him. He says, "We wave our flags, we swallow fear like medicine, we kiss the hands of profiteers and their congressmen. Fear will kill your mind and steal your love as sure as anything. Fear will rob you blind and make you numb to others' suffering. And I felt its touch too many times, and I've had enough. I've had enough. There's blood on the sand, there's blood in the street, and there's a gun in your hand, or there might as well be. Are you sick of it? I'm so sick of this." And I was like, I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. That's from Blood in the Sand. And
it was 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago. And again, this album is littered with songs with lyrics like this that you can't avoid. There's no hiding from what he's saying here. And they've got the riffs and the grooves to match it. Again, like I said with The Last Hero from Alter Bridge, this is a record that has proven to be timeless. And I just saw this band a couple months ago in downtown LA. And they played, I think, 2 or 3 songs from this record. And they're so fucking good. Like they're big and they're heavy and they're atmospheric, but he sounds pained. He sounds like, I can't believe I gotta be singing this. You gotta feel this too, right? Right. Like almost like an exhausted, I don't know. It thinking about 2016 and how that year grew and then kind of just like we all, I think not we all, but many of us kind of go, oh, and felt deflated in the back end of it. This record speaks to me, man. It really does.
It's fantastic. Love it. Good call. All right, one more in the pipe.
One more.
So I'm going to get to this because we're coming back stateside. But before we leave, just a quick shout out to David Bowie's Black Star. Obviously, posthumous release, just a great record, just to remind us of his greatness as an artist, and it's the last of Bowie we'll ever get. So, if you're ever feeling nostalgic for some Bowie, pop that on, just as a reminder of how good he was, even to his final days. And a much younger artist from that time, Bishop Briggs, Like a River. Great song, record, man. Yeah, great record. So those two deserve shout outs. But we are coming stateside. I would be remiss if I didn't just throw this one out there. I mean, Candlebox had a record in 2016. Yes. Yeah, let's go there, huh? Disappearing in Airports. So what I thought was great about this record, and especially Kevin's songwriting here, is it's that there's, I think, this feeling that Candlebox is just going to recycle a sound, and that's not what this record does. I think it shows listeners that they are, at least based on that expectation, that this is coming at you unexpectedly reflective and mature. It wasn't unexpected for me as a fan of the music, but if you hadn't been listening to them on the regular, you might anticipate going in that that's not what you're going to get, but it is what you get. It feels like a band at that time was really stopping for a minute and just kind of taking stock, really, of the time that has transpired, loss that has transpired, and what it has taken to endure to get to a place like that. And there's a lot of weight, the weight of experience, and that I think has really laced a lot of Kevin's songwriting in these later records. That the weight of experience, but he doesn't sound tired when he sings. He
never sounds tired, Paul.
You talked about a voice in Dustin's who that evolves with Thrice. Kevin's is timeless. It has remained the same. I don't know how he does it, but it just has, and he just doesn't sound tired.
Bourbon.
I'm looking forward to that, Kevin. So look, it proves when you're listening to this record that something like Growth can be just as compelling as Youth. And I think that is key, because we always talk about how youth is wasted on the young. And I think that's a misconception. I think there's a compelling nature to youth. There's a freedom and an exuberance to it. But I think that what enables youth to truly be authenticated and activated is growth. And growth doesn't have to end through youth. You know what I mean? We can be growing. David Bowie was growing into that final record. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I think Candlebox continues to grow in their songwriting as well. So anyway, Disappearing in Airports, I think is a fantastic record. The bridge just crushes. I mean, that song rocks. That's probably one of my favorites off the record. Other ones like Vexatious, I know you like that one a lot off this record. Yeah,
only because of you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's that beautiful sense of frustration and survival going on at the same time. Fade Away, I thought was fantastic. A lot of reflection there. Just again, resilience. There's no fatigue on this record, and I think that's key when it comes to something like Growth. So there's an awareness to it, a self-awareness to it, but we're not disappearing quietly. And I think that's what's key about this record, Disappearing in Airports. So highly recommend it.
I think I told Kevin to his face, I go, this record is maybe my favorite, that Into the Sun. So good. I know everyone thinks about the first one,
know. It was a classic.
Because it is. It's great. And that's what people are going to, if he's playing with Jerry and he's playing with Bush and he's playing with, who else did he play with? Bones, right? Is that who he played with?
Yeah, Bones.
People probably came for a lot of the first record. I was like, can you play Breathe?
Yeah, I mean, the Breathe Me In. Yeah, there's great stuff.
Can you play Vexatious? Can you play, I prefer the older stuff, or the newer stuff, I should say. Anywho, I've got more here I could go through. I'll name a couple of honorable mentions, as you did. If you guys don't know who Glenn Hughes is, you should know who he is. He's one of the best rock singers of all time. He was the frontman, I guess co-frontman with David Coverdale in the last era of Deep Purple. And he had a solo career of 17 records. He was going to do a tour this year, but he had to put it on hold for health issues. I saw him with a trio at the Wiltern years ago. I want to say on the Resonate record, which is from 2016. which is fan-fucking-tastic. Go get Resonate. It's just a rock record, unfiltered, and he sounds incredible. Anyways, other records that I loved from from that year, I should say, are, where are my honorable mentions? Green Day, Revolution Radio, Highly Suspect, The Boy Who Died Wolf, Bon Iver, 22 A Million, The Pretty Reckless, Who You Selling For. Those records are all fantastic as well. We just ran out of time. So now my last record, Paul, is from
Hit Me With Your Best Shot. How about that?
Yeah. I hope this gentleman will be a friend of the show at some point, because I think we'd have a fantastic conversation with him, and I'm going to manifest that we are going to talk to him, and that is Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals. Call it what it is, man, dude. I love Ben Harper. Laid back, groovy rock with all kinds of blues and folk and a bit of reggae. And like this record, it's exactly what you'd expect from Ben after all these years. And I will tell you, I first learned of Ben naturally through Pearl Jam. I mean, he'd opened for Pearl Jam a number of times, going back to 1995. I saw him open for Pearl Jam in 2003 a couple of times, and you and I saw him open up as Ben Harper in Relentless 7 ahead of those Universal City shows on the Backspacer tour. The first album of his that I really kind of dug into, though, was actually the album from 2006, Both Sides of the Gun, which I very much love. So since then, I've kind of been on the lookout as he's put out new music, whether it's as Ben Harper with the Innocent Criminals, Relentless 7, Charlie Musselwhite. There is something so gentle and honest and raw about Ben's approach to music and the themes that he speaks of. I actually got to briefly meet Ben in 2006, and he's as kind as his voice transmits on the record. American Songwriter, when reviewing this particular record, likened him to Neil Young in his approach of not avoiding hard topics in songwriting. And that's what I love about him. I mean, that and his incredible, lap steel skills. I can't do it, but he does it so well. If I'm ever feeling like maybe a little out over my ski tips, maybe confidence wise, maybe I'm taking life maybe a little too for granted. I'm not checking my privilege. I can listen to Ben and remember that there's way more to life than my own lane. It's a reality check of sorts in a great way. And one song that has found new life for me in the last year is actually the song All That Has Grown. I'm reminded that life continues. And if we make it through hard times, it's because we're meant to be on the other side of it, Paul. We have a reason to keep going. And it's on us to respect that and to keep going for us and for those who can't. So sometimes you just want to rock, like your Glenn Hughes or your Metallica, whatever, or rage. Sometimes you want to listen to Ben Harper and feel grounded to the earth, to take your shoes off and rub them in the grass. If I can paraphrase Die Hard. This album does that for me. And I just love it. I had it on the car, and I had it on in the car today, and I was reminded of how good it is. So go check that one out. Call it, what is it? Call it what it is. Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals. So good.
Fantastic. Hey, I don't think we had any overlap here.
None.
And what this exercise reminded me of is how much fantastic music came out in 2016. And that music is just as fresh today as it was then. It still sounds applicable, modern, and accessible. So for those of you watching and listening, if you have not heard any of this stuff that was mentioned tonight, or today, I should say, make it a point this week to go check some of it out. And I would be shocked if a lot of this stuff does not find its way into the regular rotation of your listening in the very near future.
It's funny. Some of the patrons were saying how, I don't listen to their new music. I'm struggling to pick records. Well, there's a long list here that people figured it out. They understood the assignment at the end of the day. Some records that they pointed out: Frank Ocean, Blonde.
It's a great album.
Yeah,
good choice.
Radiohead's record, we mentioned that one. Mike Watts, Ringspiel Tour 95, live record. Black Star was mentioned many times. So
Yeah.
that obviously. Leonard Cohen's last record, You Want It Darker.
Solid choice.
Someone mentioned Beyonce, Lemonade.
Hey, this is the number one record of that year, if I recall, wasn't it?
And it wasn't my wife, who's a huge Beyonce fan. Beehive. Anderson .Paak's Malibu record. Someone mentioned Bruno Mars as well. Beach Slang, A Loud Bash of Teenage Feelings. Jeff Rosenstock, Worry. Touche Amore, Stage 4. Pup, The Dream Is Over. Jimmy Eat World, Integrity Blues. Iggy Pop, Post Pop Depression. The Chili Peppers, The Getaway. Ben Harper's record, I just mentioned that. The Heavy, Hurt, and the Merciless. Tinder Sticks, The Waiting Room. Civil Dusk's Bernard Fanning. Black Star again, Green Day again, Waco's Violent Soho, Getaway again from Chili Peppers, Jim James solo effort, Eternally Even,
Okay.
Dr. Dogs, The Psychedelic Swamp, Iggy Pop again, Band of Horses, Why Are You Okay, Claypool, Lennon, Delirium, Monolith of Phobos, Brian Fallon's solo effort, Painkillers. This is between the Gaslight Anthem
Yeah.
during their hiatus.
Okay.
Metallica's record, like I said, Jeff Rosenstock again. Against Me's Shape Shift with Me, Dinosaur Jr.'s Give a Glimpse of What You're Not, Kings of Leon, we mentioned that one. Band of Horses, Why Are You Okay, Rival Sons, Hollow Bones, great record. And Sturgill Simpson's A Sailor's Guide to Earth, another fantastic record. Holy shit. That's a lot of music.
Yeah, it sure is.
So
And we could hang out with 2016 for the rest of 2026, I feel like.
Here's what I want you guys to do out there. I'm going to do this when we're done. I want you to go ahead and create a playlist wherever you do your music. I don't care where it is. Find these records, give them all a taste, pull out a couple of songs based off of whatever we said, and put them in a playlist and get percolating. And hopefully some of these go, I did not know that Band of Horses record was this good. I did not realize Kings of Leon. I didn't realize Bears Den. I didn't realize. Yes, people, there is good music every single year. Take off your old ears. Just because grunge isn't the mainstay as it was in the 90s, doesn't just because, West Coast hip hop wasn't the thing back. Whatever
if
you're
Paul
into.
can do it.
If Paul can do it and lose the
you
cans.
can do it too.
You just got to find it. You just got to find it. So hopefully this exercise, which is going to be a series, by the way, there's obviously a million years we could choose from. This could go on forever. But 2016, there is good new music. Here's a list of them. Go check them out.
Good stuff.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention before we go is that one of our listeners, actually a fantastic person, one of our patrons, one of our friends for a long time now, she designed many of our logos, the logo that you're seeing everywhere you find us on social media, on your podcast player, and the Vitalogy, that thing right there, the Vitalogy shirt, the Boots shirt. Karen, she had an idea for us, Paul. And that is, why don't we spotlight smaller local artists on the show? And I said, well, that's fantastic. Because this year, like we mentioned last week, is all about opening that iris up. Iris? No, what's the barn? The barn doors. Opening the barn doors up on the lights, spreading that light a little bit further out and forward and backward and see what's behind us, what's in front of us. That makes us feel all the things that we do when we talk about these Pearl Jam records so emotionally. And I think, I don't know how you feel, I think picking out an artist, wherever they might be, if they're painting, how about that?
I think it's a fantastic idea. Would love to showcase some new art.
Maybe we should put it out there.
Art imitates life, and
what you got, people?
Exactly.
What you got? Here's what I want to do. I want to put a call to action out there. If you're listening right now or if you're watching right now, I want you to let us know wherever you like to talk to us on social media or email or whatever. Nominate somebody. Nominate an artist that you know. Could be, let's say, I mean, this is not a judge on anyone's talent, but let's say it's 100 followers on Instagram or 10,000 followers on Instagram, however big or small that they are. If you want to spotlight them or you want us to spotlight them and give them a little bit extra, little boost, let's do it. Nominate them and we'll shout them out on a future episode.
Love it.
Yes. I feel good after this episode, Paul.
As do I. I feel
renewed,
refreshed, almost like we tried on a brand new coat.
A brand new coat. Do you buy coats often?
Or a brand new pair of headphones. I don't know.
There you go. There's the bookend if you're looking for.
There it is. There it is.
If you have been watching this here on YouTube, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you're old school listening only to this, Paul, what should they do?
You will hopefully rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred platform of choice. Feed that algorithm. New Paul or old Paul, feeding the algorithm never changes.
And always remember to feed the hope machine. This is a big year in the world's history. Put your best foot forward, be the best version of you, help your neighbor, help your friends. Listen to good music to help you do those things correctly.
Might give you some answers.
It might give you some answers, might give you the push you need. He's a pusher. He's a pusher of drugs. I don't know, probably. All right. I can't keep, if I quote that movie, we'll be here all day. We will see you next week. We're going to go back to our retro reviews series, Paul. Retro reviews. I love this.
Can't wait.
We are going to talk about Yield, Pearl Jam's Yield. It's turning 28. Is that right?
Many moons.
A lot of moons.
Yeah.
So we will break down, analyze, review Pearl Jam's Yield next week. And until then, you've been listening to or watching
The State of Love and Trust.